All right, now, Patriots, when it rains, it pours. And Letitia James, she is going through a monsoon right now. And remember now, I know a lot of you in the comments and Republicans, conservatives, MAGA around the country were saying, man, when is the hammer going to drop? When they going to start making these people pay? But remember, Trump had to come in and do two things first. One, he had to keep his promise on securing the border, which he did. We've got the lowest border crossings in the history of our country. Number two, which is a big one, the economy. If he hadn't stopped inflation, if he wouldn't have set up the tariffs that are generating billions of dollars in revenue monthly, if he wouldn't have made it to where prices on things like eggs weren't able to decrease, Americans would have went crazy, looked at him like a liar. And if he would have just came in trying to get retribution or make people pay, it would have came off as authoritarian like. So he was smart. And we know he's not an authoritarian, but that's how the liberal mainstream media would have spun it if he wouldn't have handled that and would have came in going right after his political opponents. But now the dust has settled and it's on and popping. And Letitia James, who right now is facing up to 60 years in prison for mortgage fraud, not on one property, not on two properties, but she committed fraud on 3 properties. But I believe that the case is only including one right now, and that's her home in Virginia. But here's the kicker about the mortgage loan. That's just one phase. What about the homeowner's insurance? What about when she does her taxes at the end of the year? Was she listing it as primary or secondary house, or was she actually putting it what it was, a rental property? Now, as the AG of New York, that is illegal for her to lie on a mortgage application, claiming a house to be for one thing when it's another, just to get favorable federal interest rates on her mortgage loans, allegedly. But now it gets deeper. Look at this article here. And in this video, I'm going to show you what's going on with Letitia James, who right now is harboring a fugitive in that same home that the mortgage fraud was committed on. So this article, Letitia James, fugitive relative who lives in her Virginia home, was arrested twice for assaulting cops. Okay, now I'm going to get back to that article right there. I want to get off into this clip here. I'll show you this. New York Post, fugitive grandniece who assaulted cops lived in Tish James' fraud house, home to roost. Let's learn who this niece is. So the niece, they fled to North Carolina to live in one of Tish's fraudulent Virginia homes. Nakia is currently a fugitive living in Tish James' house. So she fled from North Carolina, which is where the crime's committed. So right here, we've got Kayla Simone Harrison, and right here, we got Letitia James' niece, Nakia Monique Thompson. The date of the arrest, 8/11/19. This one is 6/30/24. All right. So let's look down at the niece that's living in her Virginia home. Charges: burglary, tools, possession, larceny, grand larceny, contribute to delinquency, abusive child, contribute to delinquency, abusive child. She got 3 of those, and then conspire to commit larceny, $200 or less than $200, not from person. Let's look at this other one. Grand larceny. They love this larceny thing. Weapons, false statements on consent form, attempted weapons of a convicted felon, violent person. So these are Letitia James' nieces. And Nakia Thompson is the one that is living in the home there in Virginia. So let's look at this clip as 2 reporters attempt to go to the house. First, let me show you a more recent photo of the niece. This right here is Letitia James' niece. Don't she look pleasant? Doesn't she just look like somebody that would never be violent to a police officer and wouldn't be capable of committing burglary or larceny? Can't you see this professional woman right here that's leaving her house with this awesome outfit on? Like auntie, like niece, right? But let's get into this clip right here.
Hi there. I'm a reporter with the Daily Caller News Foundation.
Goodbye, you're trespassing.
I'm sorry.
Trespassing. My kids are out here.
I understand. We mean no trouble. We're just curious who the occupants of the home are,
Don't
because
worry
there's
about who's occupants. That's none of your business.
well there
You're
are connections to
Okay, but
New
you're
York Attorney
trespassing.
General Letitia
That doesn't
James.
matter. You're trespassing.
Are you related to
You're
Letitia James?
trespassing.
Do you know her?
You're trespassing. Go in the house.
Do you know
You're
Letitia James?
trespassing.
No? Okay.
You're trespassing.
No comment. Thank you,
Don't
ma'am.
come up to my house no more.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a good one.
It's gonna be calm.
You will.
Call all you want.
Be well. Car sound.
There's a car parked in the driveway.
Hello there, ma'am.
No comment, you're trespassing.
No comment?
Yeah, you're trespassing.
Okay, well, who lives here?
You're trespassing.
Who lives here, ma'am?
No comment.
No comment. Okay.
So as you see, they showed up to the house, and the niece had the nerve to be pretty rude to them, right? They went to go try to speak with them. Now, let's check out this clip here, where the New York Post goes a lot more in depth about what's going on with Letitia James' case and her niece. And then after this clip, I'm going to get to the details because what they have in the article is mind-blowing. Check this out.
Home in Norfolk, Virginia, continues to cause trouble for New York State Attorney General Letitia James. Last week, James was indicted by a federal grand jury in Virginia on charges of bank fraud and making false claims to a financial institution. Prosecutors allege the 66-year-old New York prosecutor bought the 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom Norfolk, Virginia home in August 2020 for roughly $137,000, most of which was financed with a $109,600 loan that prohibited it from being used as a rental investment property. Her ill-gotten gains from the lower mortgage rate amounted to approximately $18,933 over the life of the loan, prosecutors allege. But now, in a shocking addition to the federal charges brought against James, new reporting also alleges that at least one of the Norfolk home's inhabitants is wanted by police, James's own grandniece, Nakia Thompson. According to court documents seen by the Daily Mail, Thompson is officially listed as an absconder who is wanted by authorities in Forsyth County, North Carolina, for failing to finish her probation. Keith Ackrey from the North Carolina Department of Corrections told the Mail that the 36-year-old was sentenced to probation for misdemeanor convictions for assault and battery and trespassing, and has willfully avoided probation supervision. Ackrey added that Thompson's crimes were considered low-level and thus non-extraditable. The under fire prosecutor's grandniece has reportedly been living with her 3 children in James's 3-bedroom property in Norfolk since 2020.
If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up because I will never ask you for a cash app. I'll never ask you for a super chat. But you hitting that like button, it really helps get the video out there. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And whether you're already subscribed or subscribing now, make sure that you hit the notification bell and select all. YouTube has issues getting the notifications out, but when you select all, YouTube will make sure that you get notified when I upload new videos.
James has called the charges baseless and political retribution from President Trump. In her first public appearance since the indictment, James joined a rally for NYC mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mamdani and called on rallygoers to stand together to defend our rights. Firebrand New York Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez even sent out an email urging her supporters to throw some bucks to James to fight back against her federal indictment. If convicted on both counts, James faces up to 60 years in prison and a fine of up to $2 billion. A small 3...
So one thing about that woman, her baseless comments, one thing you never hear her say is, no, I didn't do it. You never hear her say, I'm innocent. See, she's a lawyer. She's an attorney. So she knows. She can't get up there and say, well, I didn't do it. That's a lie. That's not true. She keeps saying these things are baseless. And I just really dislike this woman. Now, I know that there's a lot of pleasant women that are single, childless, and husbandless, but I honestly believe for this specific woman, she is an evil person. And I believe that that plays a lot into it, which may be why she's got fugitive grandnieces living in her home. She wants to have some type of a relationship and somebody to care for, because you can't have that much hatred and disdain in your heart and be a regular, normal person. Just listening when she speaks, everything is just so like it's monumentous. Nobody talks like that in real life. She don't talk like that. What she really talks like in real life is probably like this or so with her baseless stuff. And I'm not saying that to be funny. Well, I am a little bit, but it's to prove a point. This woman, the only thing she's got is her attachment to that Democrat Party. And so she's doing everything she can to keep getting invited to the cookhouse, to stay on the good side. And it's about to potentially lead her right to prison. And I have zero sympathy for a person like her, because we all know when they took that case before the New York Supreme Court, the appeals court, them judges asked, like, hey, listen, there has never, ever been a situation where a prosecutor in New York is prosecuting a victimless case. They were creating and using statutes that had never been used on anybody in the history of America. And Letitia James spearheaded that. Her goal was to rip the name Trump off of all his buildings in New York. Not for anything that he did wrong in that business, all because there was a Democrat left-wing radical agenda to exterminate this man. And if they couldn't break him, take him from the money, if they couldn't take his money from him, they tried to take him from the money and put him in prison. That's what they do. If they can't take the money from you, they'll take you from the money. The only thing was it backfired, and we all saw through it, and it made Trump stronger. And to put it really, Letitia James, we have to thank her and Alvin Bragg, because those two and Jack Smith, they helped our president get back into office. And stinking Fannie Willis, who was down there sexing up with her quote unquote prosecuting attorney, who turned out to be her boyfriend, who she says she broke up with, is still with to this day. If they wouldn't have did the four-corner box in and the full court press at the same time, the other people wouldn't have been able to see the obvious lawfare, which is why it is extremely mind-boggling how these folks can get on TV and say, oh, this is wrong. How can he use the Justice Department? That is so wrong. And when somebody says, well, how can y'all say that when Biden went after this man with the DOJ, with the FBI, with Crossfire Hurricane, with Arctic Frost, Operation Arctic Frost? They were freaking spying on Republicans, spying on Trump's campaign. And then they love to say, well, two wrongs don't make a right, So he's doing what they said he should do. That's not right. All of a sudden, it's not right. But he's not just going after retribution. By him being the one that they attacked, he knows they were lying. He knows it was fraudulent. So when you know everything they're saying about you is a lie and you get the power back, that's not hard to go after them. That's not retribution. That's accountability. But let me get back into this article real fast so we can go through this. I want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of this video, Chapter. And here's why. When my mom hit 65 years old, I watched her get bombarded with mailers, cold calls, and all these confusing ads about Medicare. And every single company pretended like they wanted to help her, but really they were just trying to sell her stuff. It seemed like the game was rigged and she was not supposed to win at all. And that's why I'm so excited to share information about Chapter with all of you. Now, who Chapter is? Chapter is a free Medicare advisory service that compares Medicare plans available, and they give you real, unbiased guidance. Chapter is completely independent and always puts customers first. Their whole focus is all about making sure that their customers, the seniors, get the right Medicare plan. And it's clear that they're making a real difference in the lives of seniors. So if you want real, unbiased help with Medicare, give Chapter a call at 402-527-1253. You'll talk to a real person who will help you figure out exactly which plan is right for you and has saved the average senior $1,000 a year. So I'm going to put the number here on the screen for you to be able to contact, or if you visit the website, go to askchapter.org/realpolitics. All right, and then it's gonna trip you out when you hear more about this niece. Norfolk, Virginia, New York's top law enforcer is housing a cop-hating fugitive relative with a lengthy felony rap sheet. Felonies. Who was twice arrested for assaulting police officers at one of her Virginia homes, according to court documents. Excuse me. State Attorney Letitia James's grandniece, Nakia Thompson, 36, is wanted for absconding from North Carolina after failing to complete the terms of her parole following a 2011 arrest in Winston-Salem, authorities said. Now, absconding, you probably already know, but for those who may not be familiar with that word, to abscond means to leave, like swiftly leave and not continue or complete your things that the court assigned to you. So, like if you're on probation or you got some type of community service, and you just leave town, they can't find you, you absconded. So she skipped out on her probation, period, really what it means. In the case, and here's another thing. She's Letitia James, the Attorney General. She knows her niece is a wanted fugitive. But remember what she always says, no one is above the law, unless it's your niece, unless it's Hunter Biden, right? Nepotism at its best. In that case, she was charged with malicious conduct by a prisoner, a felony, along with assault of a government official and resisting a public officer, court records show. But Thompson has also been repeatedly arrested and cited in Virginia since moving there, with charges including possession of burglary tools, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and grand larceny. And she is another one of those beautiful mug shots. Since 2020, Thompson has been living at a house owned by James in Norfolk, which is now at the center of a criminal indictment against the AG. That same year, Thompson was given 2 years probation in order to pay $2,020 in fees after she pled guilty to petty and grand larceny charges, both felonies according to court records. She also had a handful of misdemeanor charges dropped, as well as the felony burglary tools possession charge. She has also racked up 9 separate vehicle offenses, including as recently as this summer. In July, Thompson was hit with 4 citations in a single day, including driving 80 miles per hour in the 55 zone and stopping her vehicle improperly on the highway. The year before, she was once again ticketed for going 80 in a 55 and got a summons for improper child restraint, for which she was later found guilty in absentia and fined $50. Federal prosecutors accused, and that's the house, just in case you have never seen it. This is the home in question, one of the Norfolk properties. The other one was what you saw in the second part of the video where the reporters were going out. Federal prosecutors accused James of lying on her mortgage application when she bought the house where Thompson lives, claiming it was a second home that she would not rent out in order to obtain a favorable rate. James's signature appears at the bottom of a second home rider on a Fannie Mae Freddie Mac mortgage document dated August the 17th, 2020, which explicitly lays out what the home can and cannot be used for. Among the covenants on the rider, which was obtained by the post, were a requirement that James would occupy and use the property as a second home and maintain exclusive control over its occupancy. The signed document forbids any shared ownership arrangement requiring her to rent the property out or give a management firm or any other person or entity any control over the occupancy or use of the property, and that it would be primarily for her own personal use. In a 2020 state financial disclosure, James listed the home as an investment property, violation already, which critics say appears to contradict her statements when she bought the house. And that's right, on a financial disclosure. In an indictment filed last week, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Lindsay Halligan, alleged that James has had paying tenants in the house. So not only was it an investment property, she rented it out and was making money from it. I wonder if that's on her taxes. James faces up to 60 years in prison if convicted of bank fraud and making false claims to a financial institution. Here's the deed in trust. Document stated. Following the information as further defined below is provided in accordance with Virginia law. The deed of trust given to Letitia Big Tish James. All right. Transfer of ownership. Now, right here is where it gets deep. Okay, on this document here, right here in this section, it clears they say borrower will occupy and use the property as borrower's second home. Borrower will maintain exclusive control over the occupancy of the property, including short-term rentals, and will not subject the property to any time sharing or borrower either to rent the property or give management firm or any other person. So clear as day, and then there's her signature. Here's the second page of it. Okay, notice the debt secured hereby is subject to call in full or the terms thereof being modified in the event of sale or conveyance of the property conveyed. So signing below, borrower accepts and agrees to the terms and covenants. She flat out lied and they got her busted, dead to rights. On Monday, there was no answer and a no trespassing sign at the door of the house, which James bought in August of 2020 for $137,000. The 3-bed, 1-bath property is now worth an estimated $235,000. So she almost got $100,000 in equity in this fraudulent home. Would have been a nice way to recoup some money if she hadn't done it wrong, illegally, and unethically, allegedly. Thompson told a federal grand jury in Virginia that she had been living at the house with her kids and that she was not paying rent to James, according to the New York Times. The Times also quoted sources close to James as saying that she stayed at the home for extended periods. James has denied all wrongdoing, and her lawyer called the charges tremendous breaches of public trust. In a fiery rally with socialist New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani, she hit back at the charges and painted herself as a target of President Trump's administration. We see powerful voices trying to silence the truth and punish dissent and weaponize justice for political gain, she said. Before even moving into James' Virginia home, Thompson had a lengthy rap sheet in North Carolina. In 2006, she was charged with 3 counts of assault on a government official, as well as misdemeanor probation violation. She also faced a larceny charge that same year. In 2008, she was arrested for bomb forfeiture over a previous case. In February 2011, she was issued a citation for driving without a valid license and improperly attached registration plate, but failed to appear at an April hearing and later had a deposition hearing in 2019. So not only did she not have a license, she had a freaking stolen tag on the car. Thompson was able to plead down the 2011 charges later that year, copping to assaulting a government official and resisting a public officer. She was sentenced to 60 days in prison. Wow. The malicious conduct felony charge was dropped. It comes after officials confirmed Fugitive Thompson absconded from North Carolina, where she and her 3 children crossed the state line into Virginia. Ms. Thompson is listed as an absconder for willfully avoiding supervision by her probation officer. A spokesperson from the North Carolina Department of Corrections told the Post. She was sentenced to probation for misdemeanor convictions for assault and battery and trespassing. Due to the level of the offenses, the district attorney has designated this case non-extraditable, they added. She faces arrest if located in North Carolina and possible activation by the court of the suspended sentence. So they bust her. She's doing her whole sentence, whatever she had for the probation. But here's the kicker. We got Big Tish James running around. No one's above the law. No one's above this. And the president going after this person. She's got a fugitive living in her house that were committing crimes close to the time that she was about to start going after the president. just within a couple years. The audacity of these Democrats. It's like Bill and Hillary Clinton talking crap about Trump while you got this whole Epstein going on with Bill Clinton. You notice how the media never talks about Clinton and Epstein. It's a distraction. They know Trump did nothing wrong. That's why they didn't bring it up during the election. They know it. They've had these files since 2018. They know 2019. If not sooner than that. I'm sorry. Epstein went to jail even before that, back in like 2012, when he did a year and a day, when they let him out all day and only had to check back in at night under Obama and Biden. So, you know, I just get so sick of the distraction. So I apologize for going off on a tangent. I just really wanted to bring you this story to just show you the hypocrisy of these people and that Letitia James, her ship be sinking fast. So, you know, if you enjoyed this video and you stuck around and watched it up to this point, I want to thank you from the top and bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate you. Leave a comment. Tell me what you feel about it. I'm interested to know, what are your thoughts on her and the fact that she's harboring a fugitive in the home that she committed alleged mortgage fraud on? Isn't that nuts? But standing up there saying no one's above the law. These people are insane. So again, thank you from the top and bottom of my heart. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, hit that like button. And if you aren't subscribed, subscribe. Most importantly, I want you to stay safe and you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.